Your record in terms of the first goal of the game has not been great through this solid run. Are you happy with the starts despite the goals? Like, are you still seeing good out of the gate performances?
I feel like we have. I mean, one of the goals for us is to always win a first period. I think you give yourself a better chance of winning if you're playing with the lead instead of always having to chase games. So you always want to score first, but I feel like we've come to play, and that's an important thing in trying to allow yourself to get that lead. But ideally, you don't want to chase games for sure. So it's something that's important for us, and we want to answer first.
Is there maybe a little more of an emphasis on not playing from behind as often? You've done really well when trailing, but how do you sort of reverse that a little bit and get to the point?
No, there's no emphasis on it. It's about scoring first, or trying to play with the lead more. So we go that direction instead of the other way. Yeah.
Right, a couple years ago when these teams met in the playoffs, you pretty much had to put the puck in a team cup to score a goal. In the last 4 regular season meetings, it's about 10 goals per game between the two teams. Any way to explain that?
No. I think you go into games against them expecting 2-1 games. And we have done that since that playoff series, and we'll continue to do that.
Yeah. You look at that game the last time Dallas was here, and maybe specifically the third period, as what started to be a turning point for your group?
We started to play the right way, for sure. I mean, that was a night where we were good for the first 2 periods, but I thought we really picked up our play in regards to the team game in the third period. So I think that was a night where people started to actually believe in what we were trying to accomplish as a team and as a group, where they saw against a very good team, hey, we can make some noise. So I would say, yeah, that was probably one of the moments that we started to get our game going for sure.
You mean people inside your room believe that you saw your game going, or just on the outside? Because it looked like internally, or it sounded like internally, that's where you're going with that.
Yeah, that's more so. I mean, we don't, people outside, I mean, it is what it is. But it's the guys inside that, once they grab hold of it, they're the ones that are going to either do it or not do it at the end of the day. So I think when they see themselves having some success, it's always a catalyst for more, right? I think that's just kind of normal.
Yep. Have you seen the resiliency of your group and being able to not get too concerned when they are down and being able to claw back? What's been the key to that?
Yeah, as we talked about, you don't want to be down first, but the key to that for me is your leadership, because it's easy for guys to, hey, tonight's not our night. We'll be better next game. But we have guys that are wearing letters for one, but we talk about those guys fairly regularly. But another guy is Blake Coleman, who we maybe haven't talked enough about. He's been right up there with that group. So for me, it's those guys, and resiliency often starts with those type of players.
What does it mean that you're starting to see that resiliency in such a tough part of your schedule, where you're getting Dallas again, you had Vegas earlier this week, you're going to get so many other tougher opponents between now and Christmas? What does it mean to you to see that resiliency at this juncture of this season?
I don't know. I mean, we talk about tough opponents. If you're not at your best each and every night, no matter who your opponent is, you're not winning. Unless you have a goaltender that steals a game or you get a few lucky bounces. I mean, every team is capable of winning on any given night. So that's kind of the way we look at it. Yes, we have some teams that are at the top portion of standings that we're going through right now, but if you're not at your best, you're not going to give yourself a chance to win no matter where teams are lying.
You mentioned Blake the other day too, and I think you used the phrase "manages the room." Like, what does this guy do that maybe doesn't get talked about enough?
Yeah, he's got personality about him. I think he's a very infectious person. That's one thing behind the scene. You guys could tell by his media presence that he has. He does a real good job speaking, and because of his pedigree, where he's come from, his Stanley Cup championships, and the way he's playing right now, people look to him as a guy that we want to follow. So he's done it in a positive manner when we haven't played our best, and he's always been a guy that's been ready to push or kick, depending on what it called for.
Ryan, I think it's safe to say your team has taken a step in the first 2 months of the season. What's the next step you'd like to see them take?
Well, for me, it's better every day. I don't think that changes. So we know we have to get our power play at a level where it's going to generate momentum for our team. It doesn't have to score all the time, but it has to generate momentum for our team. And then it's making sure we maintain that mentality. It's every day is a new day, and we have to get better.
Ryan, how would you describe Jacob Markstrom's impact on your group so far?
He's had a massive impact for us right from the first day he came back. He's brought his swagger with him. And early in the year when we were struggling, some of those games could have been much different if it wasn't for the effort that he was was putting in. What I love about him is a lot of people were like, nah, Jacob this, Jacob that. He never believed that whatsoever, and he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder, and he's come in that way. So he is a key member of our team. I talk about leadership group, and his name's never mentioned in that. But he's very much a part of that in a lot of different ways. We just go about him a little differently because you don't want to tack anything on to your goaltenders at certain times. But Jake, the way he comes to play every day, he is most definitely one of our key leaders.
How did you pick out, like going back to the start of the season, how did you pick out that swagger? How do you see that in him?
First phone call that I had with him in the summer, he was different. Not happy with the year prior, and he's kept that a bit of edge to him as he's progressed throughout the year.